Welcome back to Color Class. I'm Sarah.
I'm Lucinda.
And today we are going to be talking about a huge problem we have in the color analysis community. Because these palettes and the names are not lining up. And I know people are trying to get really creative with certain things. And once you hit the 4 seasons, and there's a lot of different books and education out there, people introducing new palettes. There's a lot going on, and we totally get it. And the way that some people are trained, they may have started in the 6 and moved to the 12. They may have started in the 16 and moved to the 4. So there's a lot of things going on, but what we're trying to do is condense it down and make color analysis very easy to understand with using the 6 dominant characteristics. It always comes back to the 6 dominant characteristics. But this video is about one particular palette that we talked about, and we're going to teach you why we have an issue.
Today is a rant. However, I will say, before I get into my rant, that when these palettes are named these obscure things, like you're a Viridian whatever, what does that even mean? When you are told what your palette is, it should be clear, it should be concise, and people out there should know that color analysis is not hard. For decades, the community, the color analysts have worked to make it seem like there's this magic code that only they know, and it's hocus pocus. It's not. Color analysis is simple. It's direct. It works. And as long as we make sure that we follow a path, and everybody is on the same path, we won't have the credibility issue that we see out in public where people are going, well, yeah, I got my colors done and they told me I was a this, and then I got my colors done and they told me I was a that, and I got rid of my whole wardrobe, and they were just angry at the whole concept. Mm-hmm. And it's unnecessary. Mm-hmm. It is completely unnecessary. There are a few scientific steps to go through to get you to a place where you're in your perfect colors. Sarah and I follow those steps religiously. Mm-hmm. We don't go off of them. And when people say, well, then everybody knows your secrets, we say, good. Because
we're trying to teach them.
And that's why we started Color Class, because we know that color analysis will change your life. Understanding your colors, it will change your life. Right. And we want everybody to have that experience and never have a bad experience because they were told one thing because people were going off this way and that way. We're going to tell you the scientific way that goes all the way back to Johannes, the master scientist who came up with this in the first place. The way I'm going to start is with a rant.
I thought that was the rant.
Oh, no, that was my,
Well, we're going to be here a while.
My reason for being. I'll make this quick. I'll make it quick, I swear. I go out there and I see deep spring. Steam starts rolling out of my ears, and I get red in the face, and I'm like, there is no such thing as a deep spring. So I'm telling those of you who are out there saying that people are deep springs, you are wrong. Here's why. The original 4 seasons was built on a vision, sort of an insight that Johannes Itten had when he watched his students do their palettes in class. And he noticed that people who had a certain color characteristics in their hair, their skin, and their eyes tended to paint in those palettes. And this got him thinking about palettes and what goes with what. And he developed 4 palettes. Now, they've since been called by the season: spring, summer, winter, autumn. Spring is designated as being light and warm. Autumn, deep and warm. And we move through the palettes. But the first thing that's considered is tonality, light or deep. Springs are light. So when you say that someone is a deep spring, you are by definition confused, because springs are light. So you're saying someone who is light and warm is also deep. they're light and deep. How does that work? How does that even work? We can show you, this. I went into this person who is designated as a deep spring, and I analyzed them myself, and I determined that they were not a deep spring. They were a clear autumn. And what does that mean? It means they are warm, deep, and high contrast. And the contrast level is what, for 4 seasons, is what's messing everybody up. So that is what the lesson of today is going to be. 4 seasons, when they were first developed, they were developed on tonality, which is your lightness to your depth, light and deep. Warmth, color temperature, whether you're warm and cool. Super simple. And then they threw everybody in the whole world in those 4 buckets. Now, we know that doesn't really work all that well these days, but that is the basis of all of color analysis. Your tone, your color temperature, and one more thing that ties it all together and puts it with a pretty little bow, as Sarah likes to say, and that is your contrast level. In the 4 seasons, they just said, well, springs, they're bright, they're kind of high contrast, and then when you get down to being in autumn, deep and warm, they're low contrast, so we're going to call them soft. So autumn is a soft season, and spring is a clear, bright season. Okay, generally that's kind of true, but there are people who don't fit into that. On the other side, with winters and summers, they're a soft season. They tend to be soft because their contrast level between the light hair and the skin, whatever, tends to be not so contrasty. So they're soft. Summer is a soft season. Winter is a clear, vibrant, high intensity season. And then they started saying, well, if you're warm and you're clear, you're a spring.
You can only be a spring.
Yes.
But
yes.
Of course.
But then they say, okay, well, maybe they have dark hair. We are recognizing that. So we'll call them a spring because they're high contrast. But because they have dark hair, we'll call them a deep spring. Again, we're calling them light and deep at the same time, which is wrong. So we've since determined that you can't get to where you need to be with just those 2 characteristics, your tone and your color temperature. It's impossible. You've got to have contrast, and you've got to be able to determine a contrast level with a fair amount of accuracy. This then, if you do the math about this, how these 6 palettes work out, you end up with 16 seasons.
Now, I'm going to say, I know you gave the passion speech, and I'm just going to give the very straightforward speech,
okay,
which is, if you are light and you are warm, that falls into the spring category. But if you fall on that deep side, so deep, warm, and clear autumn, because springs are not deep. Springs get hit with a lot of these, for lack of a better word, more warm pastel shades. So of course, somebody who's deep is going to be grayed out by that. And that's why we need you on the deeper side, because we need to give that depth that matches the richness of your hair. That's the difference. Also, we have the same issue with summers. We hear a lot dark summer. The reason is you're just a soft winter, because winters have the depth. You just have a little bit more softness to you. So we have the same exact issue when it comes to summer. A lot of times we hear, oh, you can only wear the dark shades of the summer palette. Why? We want to give you all the shades because, again, you can only wear the dark shades because those are the only shades that match your depth.
And there are only about 3 shades that are darker, and they're accessory shades. They are not part of the main palette. Because in a palette, you've got accessory shades, like your white, your perfect white, which isn't really part of your palette, but it's an accessory shade that you need.
Yeah.
Well, they pull the deep shades out of the summer palette, and they're left with like maybe 3 colors. It doesn't work. If you add your clarity at the end of the analysis, you deal with tone first. Tone first. And you honor that through the whole thing. You know, are you light? Are you deep? That's first. And that will tell you you're summer or you're a winter, light or deep. Same with spring or autumn. You honor that. That's your first step. When you do it step by step for tone, color, temperature, and clarity, everybody out there will be giving the same color analysis to clients. So if a client got their colors done when they were on vacation, and then they come back and they get their colors done because they just don't feel like it's right, the important thing is get everybody playing from the same sheet of music and make sure that sheet of music is dead on, accurate, understanding, and clear. Not clear, like soft and clear, but clear to the brain.
So next time you hear somebody that says a dark summer or a dark spring
or a light winter,
a light autumn, just remember opposite. Go into the light category or go into the it doesn't make sense. Just know that they're switching up on us. So just keep that in mind next time you're out and about and you hear certain names. Like I always hear like True Summer. Usually that's a cool summer. We want to dedicate to teaching, and we have to give proper names when you hear these palettes so you understand and it clicks with you.
Just fun fact, slightly off topic because we didn't really go off topic. Do you know how True Summer evolved? That word? Mm-hmm. Well, it was a business decision. I've been in this industry for 30 years? Long time.
Yeah.
I think you were unborn at the time.
I forget where we're at right now we always say, oh, we've been in this business for however many, and I'm
sometimes we add it together, your experience, which is sizable, and my experience. I mean, I am ancient in this business. Point being, originally, 4 seasons became like the way.
Yes.
Carol Jackson wrote a book. It was translated into a bunch of different languages. It was huge because women needed this. However, Carol Jackson, who is a dear friend of mine, and I have not a word negative to say about this woman. She's honest. She's brilliant. She's wonderful. She has said forever that 4 seasons just doesn't cut it. It's just not enough. And she said, when I wrote the book, it was basically for Northern European women, that descent. Mm-hmm. And I didn't cover everybody. It's not enough. When it became so huge and it was such a business and you had 4 seasons, but you knew you really needed to be dealing with the 6 dominant characteristics and move into maybe 12, which isn't enough. Or better yet, move into the 16, then you had a whole world of women saying, I got my colors done. I paid to have my colors done, and I was called a summer. I could be a soft summer or a cool summer or a light summer. I'm upset. That is how the term true summer evolved, because it satisfied those people who got their colors done and had them done forever and just wanted to be left alone. They didn't want to understand any subcategories. True summer became the nomenclature for that woman who was analyzed in the 4 seasons palette and never got to dealing with their clarity, that characteristic.
It all comes back around to the 6 dominant characteristics, no matter what you do.
And you know what? We can end there because really, at the end of the day, we have 3 levels of analysis, and that is all. And if you want to be a color analysis expert, if you want to be a genius at it, you got 3 things to master.
Yep. Now, speaking of color analysis, if you would like a custom color portfolio done from us, we would be more than happy to do that. Obviously, we are in the business of making sure your exact colors are very precise, and we create entire landscape works of art around you. So if you're interested in that, link is down below, as well as our Patreon. You can find us there. If you have any questions, comments, don't forget, leave them down below. And also, we are coming up on 50,000 subscribers, so if you can help us out, that would be so great. Lastly, I'm Sarah.
I'm Lucinda.
This has been another color class, and we'll see you in our next video.